Hello and welcome. Silrace here with Star Citizen. I want to give my thoughts on this Kaizen Humans in Trade Initiative Unveiled. This story, this lore piece which was on the Star Citizen website, or actually still is. So anyway, I want to talk about it because it was interesting to me. Like, I enjoy this kind of lore snippets and whatnot from time to time. And this one was quite interesting from how it's written, how it's done, and so on. And also I want to see what you folks think of me doing content like this. I have also no affiliation whatsoever with the fine folks making Star Citizen, so this is entirely my personal opinion on this stuff and such. Firstly, I love that the folks making the game have done their research because of the whole word Kaizen here. The fact they did not even actually go out of their way to explain why the word Kaizen is here. Kaizen is a Japanese word and means change to better, or is it actually change for better? One of those two is more correct than the other. I can't be bothered to double check that right now, so you're welcome to find out for yourself. But essentially, it means change for better or change to better, one of the two. Anyway, Kaizen. And they didn't explain that, which is fantastic. And then when you read this article, it really is about that. It is change for better or to better, which is fantastic. I love that. Anyway, moving on, I'm gonna go through this in kind of shorter bats. So moving on to the first actual piece of the text itself, and I really love what I read here. I'm not talking necessarily about the lore they present itself, but I'm talking about how they present that lore. Firstly, if we take the word Kaizen out of here again, the two places it is, this really looks like, and the beginning of an interview, this entire thing obviously, it really looks like a beginning of an interview, you know? Where the interviewer first talks to the audience and everybody else about what is happening and so on, gives a little bit of background info, and then gets to the interview with the person they are interviewing. But the thing is, the word Kaizen is not explained out, as I mentioned, in any of this. This really looks like somebody else came up with the name and, you know, all of this stuff, and they just handed it over to the interviewer. He's like, he doesn't necessarily know what the word even means, he just runs with it because that's what he was given. And also, I really love, as I mentioned, the way this has been written. It doesn't explain to us, there is no exposition here to tell us what all of these things here, like in the Senate and all of these stuff, mean. Like, what's their point? It expects us to know. Because that makes this feel so very realistic, where it's like, you have to follow the news to know what the heck all of this means. And if you don't, well, we are not here to tell you all of that. We are here to conduct an interview. And this is the beginning facts of that interview, and let's get to the interview then. I love that. It's like, you don't need to explain everything out to the audience. Make the audience think for themselves, find out for themselves. This is how you get people to do that stuff. And I love that. Let's move on. So, the first piece of the interview itself. Something which popped right out at me here, which was fantastic, is they actually tell us how we are supposed to pronounce this name here, this HuXa thing. Because in sci-fi settings like Star Citizen, there are so many company names, alien names, and so on, which we, as the player base, have no idea how we're supposed to pronounce these things. And this is one way for the fine folks behind the scenes making the game to tell us. Alright, this is how you pronounce it. Please do more of this, please give us more of this. That is fantastic. One thing I honestly believe that they failed at a little bit in this writing is right here at the as well. You were right, Freddy. There is no Freddy mentioned anywhere in this document, other than this bed. In the beginning, they mentioned the interviewer introduces who he is, he introduces who he is interviewing, no mention of Freddy. At the very end of this whole thing, there is no, list of who all were participant in the making of this interview. No mention of Freddy. A little bit of to me, a failed writing piece. They should have opened us somewhere in this who actually Freddy is. A little bit. However, the rest of this is kind of nifty, kind of neat, the whole legislation bit of like it's so long and how are we supposed to talk about it and how does it actually affect the world, which is fantastic. A little bit of, the whole exposition, what is happening, whole background lore thing, but I want to more move on to the next bit, so let's do that. So, the next bit. Reading the responses of the person being interviewed, it really feels like they build a character a little bit behind the scenes before they wrote this thing. Like, there is the whole quotation of an economist, a strong empire leads to a strong citizen, and all of these other things. It really makes it feel like this character is, well, they are here to explain this out, but they are also personally invested in it, and so they are trying to sell the whole proposal to people, while still trying to outwardly remain neutral, but they are invested in it and they are really trying to promote it. That is what I get from all this, which I am reading, and it is very good writing from that point of view. I feel like there is actually a character here. But I also feel like they missed out a little bit on the writing here. Because if we take the first question, for example, small business owner just supposed to take the government's word that this deal is in their best interest. And however, in the next one, they also mention that this person who is getting interviewed is supposed to have a dual master's in economics and Sion studies. Is it Sion? Somebody tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce that name. Anyway, I don't feel like from this text that the person actually has economics masters. They are not talking any numbers in this. They are not talking any graphs. They do mention in the second bit that there is numerous universities, research institutes, think tanks are hard at work analyzing the proposal. But at this point already, proposal being in this point, there has to have been already some analyzing done on it. Like they could have replied with a graph or thrown out some numbers, number predictions. Like, okay, in 20 years time, this will lead to this, that, and that. And of course, if it doesn't, they just claim that they are not able to predict the future and point out to various different problems which did not allow them to reach that point. The way the actual people really sell you on stuff. And I think that is missing out of here. That is something they could have easily added, just some numbers and whatnot, which, in 50 years' time, every citizen's wages are about to increase in this manner and blah, blah, blah. And in the end, if it doesn't happen, then, well, it wasn't our fault. It was, our predictions were kind of correct at the time. We made the predictions, but then the economics actually shifted, blah, blah, and so on. You get my point, right? That's what feels so missing out of here for somebody who is into economics. Anyway, moving on. So, the final bit of this interview, and I'm again in love with what I'm reading here. For example, we're being told how the Sion diplomatic corps actually works, how they conduct their policies, some of their cultural stuff, which is really good. It really builds the race out to us. Fantastic, I really enjoy that. But also, there is an emperor's name here. And this again makes me feel like I'm just a citizen who is reading the news, basically, or watching the news. I don't know which, but probably reading. And I'm supposed to simply know how this emperor's name is being pronounced, because it's not a new thing. this HuXa policy is a new thing, so they ask and let us know how we're supposed to pronounce the name of this policy, which is coming out. However, we're supposed to know how to pronounce the emperor's name because it's not a new thing we're supposed to know. From another news outlet or a previous interview, whatnot, we're supposed to know. And I love that. I love that. It's very good writing. However, because they mention a commercial break here right now, I actually want to now know, what does this Star Citizen commercial break look like? What does a commercial break look like in this world? I don't watch TV much in the real world myself, but I am really interested now. Somebody please make that a thing. Thank you. Let us know what kind of commercials these people get. Alright, so that concludes that particular bag. Thank you very, very much for watching, and let me know if this is something you would like me to do more of. Would you like me to do a little bit of analyzing on the various pieces of lore we get, go through them, tell essentially my opinion on them? Let me know. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching.